Hi, I'm Jeff. I'm the founder and president of 352, and I'm here today to tell you why feature specs and product documentation are a thing of the past. You see, like many companies, we used to create these really detailed project specifications whenever a project began. You know, whether you're creating a website or software like we do, or whether you're doing construction or creating a medical device or whatever your field or industry might be, the traditional way of thinking was whenever you go into any project, you would plan it all meticulously in advance. You would create these detailed specifications of what is going to be done. But what we've come to learn is that allowing for change is a very natural and, in fact, a very beneficial part of any project. It's really all about innovation and iteration. Projects where you build in the capacity to innovate and iterate during the project are going to end up better. And what we tell our clients now is we actually don't want to create a detailed project specification at the beginning of a project. The reason why is because if the client and the salesperson on our end sit down maybe with a technical architect and create this really detailed spec and then hand it off to a project team to actually build, you're limiting the ability for that project team to come up with innovative ideas and to affect the project in a positive manner. You're really limiting your project team's creativity. The better way to work is to create instead a loose concept, an overall kind of epic idea of what you want to accomplish, talk about goals, tell stories, and then hand it off to the project team and allow the project team to innovate, allow them to come up with ideas and allow them to bring great new ideas to the table and work with you to make everything better. Working in an agile process, such as what we do, every couple of weeks you have these sprint periods, and every couple of weeks during the project, the team gets back together with the client, reviews everything that's been done, and again infuses more ideas into what can be done next. So we encourage the project to kind of take a little bit of a wandering path as you go through the weeks of a project, where you think you're going to end up at the beginning of the project may not be where you end up at the end of the project, but because you have allowed the team to innovate and you've allowed iteration as part of the project plan, you plan for iteration, where you end up is going to be a much more beautiful, wonderful outcome than where you ever thought you could possibly end up when you were creating that project plan in the very beginning. The other beautiful thing about working in an agile format, encouraging innovation, encouraging iteration, and not creating those detailed project specs is it also allows you to get an MVP, a minimum viable product, to market quickly. There's a whole movement, the lean startup movement, about how startups can succeed by getting a product to market quickly and then allowing people to start using that product and then to innovate on the product. Companies in today's day and age, with technological change coming at us so fast, companies that win are companies that build a product and get it to market quickly. It's not the most perfect product, it's not the final version of the product, but they build it and they get it into consumers' hands quickly. They watch how consumers are using it, how they're reacting to it, what they like, what they don't like. They get ideas from the actual end users of the product, and then they build that into the next release cycle, and they have lots and lots of quick release cycles of their product. That is how you win. Companies that are losing today are companies that are under the old mindset of, I'm going to spec out this massively complex project, and we're going to work in development on building this spec out for the next year or 2 years, and then we're finally going to get a final version of this to market. That is no longer the way to be successful, whether you're doing a web venture or any other type of venture. I can tell you from personal experience why this is so important. I've been involved in two different startups that my wife and I started together. The first was a concept we came up with called Camp Pete. Camp Pete was an online virtual football world for kids. If you have kids, you may have heard of Club Penguin, Webkins. They are these interactive online games where kids create characters and they interact with each other in this online world. We decided to come out with a sports-themed one. This was about 5 years ago when Club Penguin had just been bought by Disney, and this whole field was just starting to heat up. And at that time, there wasn't a good sports-themed one. So we dreamed up this incredibly detailed concept for this online game called Camp Pete. The reason why it's called Camp Pete, by the way, is we got Pete Carroll, who is currently the coach of the Seattle Seahawks, to sponsor the game. He was involved in the game and got a cut of the game for partnering with us in it. He was excited about the project. And we created this incredibly detailed spec, exactly what I'm telling you not to do. We spent tons of time, this laborious spec, and we gave it to our development team at 352. And we had one of 352's development teams just work on building this incredibly massive world for a year and a half. It took us a year and a half to get it to market because the thing was amazingly complex. It had 15 games. It had over 70 scenes where kids could interact with each other. It had hours and hours of video. I mean, this thing was unbelievably massive, and we got it to market. And when we got it to market, we realized we had completely missed the mark. The things that we thought the kids using the game would love, they didn't really seem to care about. The things that we didn't think anyone would really care that much about and we put very minimal time in turned out to be our most popular features. The problem was we took so long to get to market that we burnt through so much of our budget that we no longer had much budget left to make the changes that would really be necessary to make the game a success. On top of that, because we were so long to get to market, during that time, several other virtual worlds emerged online, including sports-themed ones. So by the time we got to market, it was no longer a novel concept either. Now, had we instead taken the approach of building that minimum viable product and getting it to market quickly, the business could have turned into a big success. What we should have done was just build a couple of scenes, just build 1 or 2 games and get it out there quickly. Be first to market and let people start playing it, get the user feedback, and then continue to innovate and iterate. So when my wife and I started a second startup a few years ago, that's exactly what we did. We started a startup called Social News Desk. It's an online social media management platform for television newsrooms. And we started this, we limited our budget, and we said, you know what, we're only going to do a couple months of development, and we're going to get this out into the hands of some users. We're going to get some people to beta test it, and we're going to try to sell it, and we're going to see what happens. And that's exactly what we did. The first version of Social News Desk was really nothing to be proud of. It was fairly simplistic, but it was still unique. And when we got it into the hands of the users said, this has a little ways to go, but we can see the possibilities here. And we even convinced a couple of people to come on board and start paying, a couple of clients to start paying for the service. Then we felt much more enthusiastic about putting a little bit more money back into it, creating the next release and getting the next release to market quickly. All of a sudden, we got a few more customers. We got some more great user feedback. We put a little bit more money into it. We got the next release to market quickly. We were constantly innovating. We were constantly iterating, and we were getting these releases out to market quickly. Fast forward a couple of years, and more than 85% of the television broadcast stations in the United States now post to social media using Social News Desk. It's been incredibly successful for us, and I'm convinced that one of the primary reasons for our success is because we used a method not of creating detailed project documentation, but rather innovating and iterating and allow ourselves to be flexible and building change into the process and getting that minimum viable product to market quickly. Ultimately, that's what it's all about. Launch quickly and iterate. Whether you're doing a website, a software project, or any other type of venture, launch quickly and innovate, iterate, plan that into your process, and you will have far greater success. Thank you.